Hello, this is Brian. Today is a quite warm June 28th, 2022. It's a late Tuesday afternoon, and I am in Tecolote Canyon at one of the north terminus areas. So I'm just downslope from the little rec center. I think it's called the North Clairemont Rec Center. It's at the right next to Field Elementary School on Bannock Avenue, which is really close to the intersections of Genesee and Clairemont Mesa Blvd here. So I'm in one of these little urban canyons again. Let's see what kind of interesting stuff pops up today. I'm trying to find the main trail to get down into Tecolote, but we're in a very thick mixture of native and non-native plants. I did a video earlier today, a two-part video set by Clairemont High School, near Clairemont Drive and Balboa Avenue, showing off some of the diversity of native and non-native plants there. Well, here we are again in another interface of native and non-native vegetation. I'm trying to see if this is the trail that, I know there's a trail that leads down into the canyon, but I don't remember it being this brushy. I remember it being pretty straightforward. So here we are. We're in a mixture of native and non-native. So here we got Quercus ilex, the holly oak from the Mediterranean in Europe. Not native, of course. We got our native Salix lasiolipus, the royal willow. Native toyon, Heteromeles arbustifolia. Here's an old stump from a Canary Island date palm, most certainly not native. We got some interesting thickets over here too. I'm probably going to go back up and go further along that way. I think I'll find better. I think the other trail should be over there. I think the legit trail. Then we got a real jungle-like thicket over here. So we got Brazilian pepper tree. This is one that spreads a lot in our native or non-native, that spreads a lot in our local canyons here. This here is becoming a monster thicket too. Skinus terebenthifolius. There's your foliage. It's also a common ornamental tree planted here. It kind of starts out as a multi-stemmed thicket, but people usually train it to be like a tree. There's more of it here. There's more Quercus ilex, more holly oak. And then we got these large ash trees in here. This is a chamois ash, native to, I think, Mexico and Central America. It's Fraxinus uhdei, UHDEI. And they can become quite large trees here in these canyons, where they especially love to grow here where they're closer to a source of moisture. And down here looks like a seasonal wash or a seasonal creek. Let's see if I can get down here without getting caught and tripping over these roots. You'll see how large these trees can get. Make sure there's no poison oak. Look at this. Look at the base of this chamois ash. These things grow very fast and can get very large. I think they've been known to sometimes exceed 100 feet out here. These things can get humongous. Look at the root system is massive on these trees. And of course, here's the Brazilian pepper tree. And we got a lot more growing up here. These might all come from one root system potentially, because these are known to not only produce local thickets, but they are also been known to spread out and come up from their roots. So this could potentially all be part of one root system, maybe. and we got more of the smaller thicket forming ones up there. But you can see by nature, these things are multi-stemmed, like shrub, like monster shrubs on steroids. As you can see here, again, it's the Genesee terebinthifolius, and this is quite a good example of what can happen when they get established in our canyons. I'm not maligning it, because, I mean, they don't have the mentality of, I'm going to go invade the United States and just take over everything because that's what I do. Well, they were brought here as ornamental trees, and people let them get out of bounds. Honestly, though, sometimes these urban canyons, we can get some pretty spectacular specimens of these non-natives. Honestly, I'm looking at this in kind of a positive light, because it is nice and shady under here, and it's actually quite neat to see. Kind of nice to see how these can get in the wild when they get established. A lot of people have them in their yards as nice and tidy, one trunk, small trees, and then they just mow over the suckers that pop up, the little root shoots. These all come up from the roots. These are all root shoots right here that came up from the root system. Root system of Genesee terebinthifolius is very expansive and invasive, so planting it near sidewalks usually is not the best idea, and they can get into your water systems. But this is how they adapt to survive, So it is kind of neat to take a look at some of the survival strategies of our non-native plants. A lot of times these plants grow in places where the rainfall is like 4, 5, 6 times, maybe even more than what we normally get here in San Diego. Where we are here in Clairemont, probably averages about 10, 11 inches of rain a year. So not very much. So that's what these guys do. They find these little nooks in these canyons where there's probably a lot of subsurface moisture in here, and this is how they get established. And they also can develop these very aggressive roots that'll go wherever they can establish to find moisture in the soil. So if anybody's to blame, it's people for bringing them. Though we do love to see exotic foliage in our yards, we also have to be aware that plants can invade. I mean, we got Eucalyptus comadulensis. It'll get established in these canyons too. Actually, no, this is lemon-scented gum. This is Corymbia citriodora. This right here, that's lemon-scented gum, which is very closely related to eucalyptus. Genus Corymbia is pretty closely related. And then we do have pockets of a native species that's mostly found on the Channel Islands, but occasionally does grow here on the mainland. And it's this right here. This Catalina cherry, Prunus ilicifolia subspecies lyonii. It's actually the larger leafed and larger statured form of hollyleaf cherry, which is a quite common shrub in our chaparral and woodland environments here in Southern California. Catalina cherry's leaves get much larger and much more likely to become trees with age. Much taller. You probably see me point out hollyleaf cherries a lot, and when you see them, you'll notice that they're usually shrubs. Now we're getting a mixture of holly oak and our native coast live oak. Let's see if I can find that trail. I think it's around here somewhere. This is all lemon scented gum right here again. Very long time. So the Tecolote Trail actually is over here. That's just a little finger canyon. So that's where the elementary school is. And here's a recreation park right here. Warm and kind of humid conditions. Kind of humid today, actually. I wouldn't say it's extremely hot by any stretch, but it's definitely humid today. Here we are, the mighty, pretty big specimen right here. Red ironbark eucalyptus. Eucalyptus sideroxylon. They're usually more medium-sized trees, but every now and then, when you've had them around for a long time, these things can get very large. That's a monster, kind of compared to what I usually. So these ones have been around for a very long time. Some really nice specimens. That over there, I think looks like a Comodulensis. That's a big tree. That's probably about 100, 130, 140 feet tall, probably. They can get very large here in San Diego. That is a large tree. I think it's near private property, so I'm not going to go messing with it, but wow, that is a monster eucalyptus, and you can tell it's got like 4 or 5 humongous trunks meeting at the base. And the trunks themselves, the multi-trunks themselves are quite large. So as much as I love talking about our native plants, I do love also checking out our non-native flora as well, because given that we're in a suburban zone, you're going to have a lot of stuff planted together. That's just how it is. And honestly, to me, depending on how much it takes over the native populations of plants, it's also, to me, very interesting to study, because I just love trees in general. But now we're looking at Tecolote Canyon right here. Oh, a baby lizard just went over there. Here we are, Tecolote. I'm not going to do a super long, far hike today, because it's awfully warm today. But right here at the edge of the canyon are these beautiful Coast Cholla thickets. Slender Puntiapleurophlera. And we'll probably knock that piece off right there. What's going to happen is those are going to take root in the soil. If they can get a good purchase on the soil, they're going to establish in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go down into the wooded parts, kind of explore a little bit. Been over here once or twice before. It was very, very long time ago. Time back in the mid-90s when I was a preteen. But we're going to go head down into this Coast Live Oak woodland. We're going to go enjoy some shade, because it's quite warm here. There's some sage grub here. But I'll tell you one thing, this is cool. This is really pretty here. This is going to be fun climbing up this when I come back. But I did carry a ridiculous amount of water for such short jaunts. But considering how warm and sticky it is, it's definitely going to be a good thing to have it along with me today. This is a slow descent. You don't want to go down this fast because lots of loose pebbles on top of the marine sedimentary soil. So walking down this fast is definitely ill-advised. So now we're getting ready to enter some Coast Live Oaks. Lots of young sagebrush here too, and a much older one here too. Here we are, lemonade sumac. It looks like we've got a mix of Coast Live Oak and holly oak down here. That's a holly oak. Most of them are Coast Live Oaks, but there are a few non-native holly oaks joining the fold here. So when you're walking down this, just be careful. There's some loose rocks here and there. But if you're careful, you should be fine. No big deal. Not like I haven't done this many times before. I'm about to enter the sweet shade of Tecolote's Canyon bottom. Oh yeah. So yeah, most of this is Coast Live Oak. And like holly oak, Coast Live Oaks are also very hardcore reproducers. Young trees take over a lot of space, which is good for our woodland. Oh, the western scrub jay right there, hopping from the branches. I believe that's a Phelocoma californica. I think that's a western or California scrub jay. All right, it's nice to be in the shade. Yeah, that's what a western scrub jay sounds like. So yeah, got a nice bird sighting. You'll hear that a lot here in the woodlands and chaparral of SoCal. A little toyon seedling right there. This should be a fairly level canyon walk. So I go in a little ways, just for the heck of it. So, trees here are predominantly Coast Live Oak, Quercus agrifolia, Verde agrifolia. Again, we do get some holly oaks, probably from people who planted them in their yards or on the side of streets like they often do. Their acorns get picked off by birds and then they establish down here sometimes. Yes, you know me. Periodically checking these little pools of water for signs of potential amphibian life. Yes, I do periodically check. I think this is going to do for part one. I'm going to get into another video. But before I do, here's another thicket of pepper trees right here. Again, Scinis terebinthifolius. These all probably come from this root system here. Again, forming a massive thicket. Massive thicket right here. This is all probably from one root system. Trying to see what kind of lizard that was. Well, I'll see you on clip number 2. Time to get out of this thicket, get in, and I'll see you on the next clip.